it became clear that the Rwandan-Ugandan alliance had made a critical miscalculation. Unlike the fighting against Mobutu, the government of Congo had powerful foreign allies willing to come to its defense. Zimbabwe and Angola were the first and most important of these allies, providing air support and armor that Kabila's forces desperately needed. The end of the year, even more nations were drawn into the conflict on either side, in a tangled web of alliances that many observers thought reminiscent of the First World War. Aligning with Kabila's Congolese government were the already mentioned Angola and Zimbabwe, whose leaders had vested financial interests in his regime, as well as shared Marxist leanings. The Angolans were concerned about their own rebels, the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola, or UNITA for short. Angolan President José Eduardo dos Santos suspected Rwanda and Uganda of backing the rebels, who had been a thorn at the country's side since the 60s. He was probably right before the war, but once it got started, their support for UNITA became overt. Up north, Sudan joined the Angolan president's cause as a means of harassing their enemy Uganda, while Chad joined mostly at the behest of France. That's right, France is involved too. Meanwhile, Namibia's president Sam Nujoma had personal ties to Zimbabwe and committed his forces in part to honor this friendship and to fight UNITA. There were a number of other independent or quasi-independent groups involved in the fighting, but the last two that we're going to mention are the Movement for the Liberation of the Congo, or MLC, and the Lord's Resistance Army, or LRA. Throughout 1999, numerous peace accords, sponsored by the likes of Muammar Gaddafi and Nelson Mandela, tried and failed to bring an end to the violence. The RCD was not even invited to these accords, which may seem like a major oversight, but also a likely result of the fact that the group had splintered into competing factions. This newly fractured group was difficult to negotiate with holistically for obvious reasons. The next year, Ugandan and Rwandan forces actually began to fight each other as well near the city of Kisangani, one of the earliest rebel strongholds. With many of the nations involved both supporting and fighting both non-state actors in addition to each other, the prospect of a peace settlement that would end the multipolar conflict was growing increasingly complicated and unlikely.
Is an introduction really necessary for someone we all know so well?